Hey guys, John here. Welcome to NXT. This is the first NXT after NXT Takeover Brooklyn 2. And to be fair to the other shows, it wasn't the strongest NXT. It just served to be more as like a bridge between Takeover and NXT for the future, because it mainly just showed highlights from all the Takeover Brooklyn matches and two dark matches at Takeover, which happened before the show. I can officially say because I saw Grimm's Toy Show's little thing about it. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here to say how NXT did this week. So let's get off with the first contest of the night. Former WWE Tag Team Champion Blake, Tag Team Champion, NXT Tag Champion, I should say, versus the Perfect 10, Ty Dillinger. So as I said, up next we have the Perfect 10, Ty Dillinger versus, what's his name? Wesley Blake. Wesley Blake used to be part of the tag team Blake and Murphy, along with SmackDown Live's Alexa Bliss, and they were the tag champs coming into Takeover last year, but they did lose them at the show to the Vaudevillains, again also on SmackDown. The Perfect 10, Tyler Breeze, faced off against another SmackDown competitor, Apollo Crews, and he did lose that match. So it's a battle between two people who lost their matches at last year's Takeover. So this is Ty Dillinger's first match for a couple of weeks now. He takes on a former tag team champion. The show is still in the same arena as Brooklyn 2, the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, because these were two dark matches shot before Takeover, just to get the crowd mad. Blake was in firm control of Ty Dillinger, as you can see here in the opening proceedings. Dillinger gained the advantage with vicious chops to Blake. Blake then retaliated with a thumb to the eyes of the Perfect 10 to regain control. We then cut to a commercial break. When we returned, Blake had a reverse chinlock on Dillinger. The crowd was firmly in the corner of Ty Dillinger because he's extremely over with the crowd in terms of his 10 gimmick. And he nailed a schoolboy roll-up for a 2 count. Blake then hit a backstabber off the second ropes for a 2 count. Blake then hit a power slam and went to the top rope. He went to go for a swanton bomb, made famous by, of course, Jeff Hardy. But Dillinger moved out of the way and threw the former tag champ into the ropes. Dillinger then hit multiple clotheslines, kicks, and capped it off with a back body drop. He then hit a Russian leg sweep and a stomp to the head of Blake. Ty Dillinger then hit the tiebreaker for the 3 count. The Perfect 10 gets the win via pinfall. A good performance from Ty Dillinger as he builds some more momentum. Blake looked good in the opening proceedings, but again, couldn't get the job done. But it was a good match between the two. And that's pretty good for the first match. It's not the only match of the night, we'll get to that later. But now, let me take you to a city, not Suplex City, we're going to Promo City. Alright, so I pretty much used this thumbnail to basically say that this was all about Takeover Brooklyn 2. They showed highlights of the match between Bobby Roode and Andrade Cien Almas. Then did a backstage interview with the Glorious One. He says that his win versus Cien wasn't a surprise, and he says Cien's good, but he's not glorious. And he says that win was step 1 in his plan to make NXT good, and he's off for a date with some former presidents and Fortune 500 people, as he accurately says. And then shows later that night that the main event, TM61, the Australian tag team, will face the Authors of Pain. So that's the match I'll get into in a little bit. They then showed video highlights of Austin Aries versus No Way Jose, and another interview with Austin Aries. And he says he is sick of people thinking that they can make a name for themselves at his expense. And he said he will end Hideo Itami's career if he ever steps to him. Then shows a special look at Bayley versus Asuka for the NXT Women's title at Brooklyn 2. After looking again at the match, Bayley did take Asuka to her limit, as pointed out by Ember Moon in a later interview. But I think the one mistake Bayley made cost her the women's title, and that was provoking Asuka. You know, when she's like, "Come on, hit me," and Asuka whacked her in the head with a kick, and then for the 3 count. I don't think that was the best way to end the match. I think maybe Bayley winning or Asuka locking in the Asuka lock again, and Bayley's body gives out on her again. I think that would have been a more fitting ending. But another backstage interview had to take over, this time with Bayley. She explains that she thought she had the home court advantage after last year's Magic at Takeover, where she defeated Sasha Banks for the NXT Women's title. And she was confronted then by Ember Moon. And she highlights what I said, that Bayley took Asuka to a limit and should be proud of herself and what she's done in NXT. Bayley thanks her, congratulates Moon on her debut victory against Billie Kay, and says that they hope they can have a match in the future. I would actually love to see that match. Ember Moon is a pretty good wrestler, especially with like her, mystique sort of thing. And then a clip from Raw plays, which is of course Bayley's debut, which was very, very nice to see. It then showed a special look of Gargano and Ciampa versus the Revival. It's pronounced Ciampa, not Ciampa, the way I've been pronouncing it. Dumb. Another backstage interview with Dash and Dawson, and they said they are the best team on the planet, and there isn't anyone that can reach them. Then they challenged the WWE tag teams. I think they challenged the Usos, Breezango, The New Day, Gallows and Anderson, and they asked them to come to NXT and face them. They then looked finally at the match shown on screen, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Samoa Joe, and they hype up appearance next week by the NXT champion, Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, I read rumours that Joe was supposed to be coming to SmackDown. If that's the case, thank the Lord. I'd like to see him go into a feud with maybe Bray Wyatt or Dean Ambrose or maybe Dolph Ziggler. I do think they may be able to put on a good match. And I'm excited for Nakamura, but I don't know who his first opponent's going to be. Austin Aries is busy with Hideo Itami and vice versa. The only really opponent that I could see as like a big, challenging opponent would be either Ty Dillinger or definitely Bobby Roode. Maybe Noe Jose and Andrade Cien Almas, but they're probably in trouble trouble with Bobby Roode. So maybe Noe Jose, although he did lose that takeover to Aries, so I don't think it'd be the best idea to give him a title shot. But anyways, enough of my rambling. Nakamura next week, super excited for him, and let's get into the main event. So up next is the Authors of Pain versus TM61 in the main event. So this was after Backstage Interview City. This was a fun match to call for you guys and read out for you, because the Authors of Pain are just called that. Now I think they said something during the match where they said one of them was like Razor, and I forget the name of the other one, but they look the same. As you can see, they wear the same ring gear. The only thing that really distinguishes them is that one is tattooed and the other one isn't. They're just as annoying to a call as the Usos. Well, more annoying since they actually have names. So I tell you what I'm going to do. The one on the right, the tattooed one, I'm going to call Arthur 1, and the other one, non-tattooed, Arthur 2. So let's get that ready. Anyway, the teams get right into it before the bell started, with TM61 surprisingly getting the advantage after dunking the Arthurs out of the ring and hitting both of them with suicide dives. Arthur 1, the tattooed one, started the match against Miller. Thorne then got taken and tries to chop down Arthur 1 and did a good job of it until Arthur 2 hit a wicked clothesline. And Thorne is sent into the ring post via baseball slide by Arthur. And by baseball slide, I mean he just picked him up, rolled him along the ring like he was like on butter, and slammed him into the ring post. I've never seen anything like that before. The Authors of Pain dominated Thorne and just threw him around like a rag doll or a corpse. And then headed to a commercial break. When we returned, the Authors of Pain were still killing Thorne. Lovely to see. Arthur 1, or I think Arthur 2 then, got hit by a jawbreaker and an enziguri by Thorne and tags in Miller. He hits a flying crossbody on Arthur 1 and he gets a 2 count, which is I think it's the first time anyone's got a near fall on the Authors of Pain. Thorne then got tagged by then, and they hit a double team move for another 2 count. Thorne then tagged in Miller, and they sort of failed. They went for another tag move, but Arthur 2 took out Thorne, and Arthur 1 hit a spine buster on Miller for a 2 count after Thorne made the save. After the Pain then hit like the double power bomb sort of thing, where they let them off for power bombs on opposite ends of the ring. They clashed them into each other, and they threw them on the ground. And then they had an STO clothesline on Miller for the win. So the Authors of Pain defeated TM61 via pinfall. So I like the way they're making the Authors of Pain look like monsters. I honestly think they could be legit competitors. And I'd like to see them fight the Revival for the tag team titles. I do think that they might be able to beat the Revival and end their reign as the tag champs. So that was all if NXT this week. I'm sorry it was such a short show with little to no action, but this one served more as a bridge between Takeover and NXT in the future. I'd say next week's Takeover is going to be very populated, and it will be a lot more lively than this one. So thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you later. Take care.